you get sick? You having
I'm sorry,
problems
what was
with your
that?
sacrum near your butt area?
Yeah, with this SI joint on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
It I've had like a weak lower back for a really long time, probably like 20 years since high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I have 3 children now, so I think with each pregnancy, it got a little bit worse. My daughter's 9 months old, and in that pregnancy, at 30 weeks pregnant, my back just went out, like on the couch, couldn't move out. Um, and then I recovered, but never fully. Like I continued to experience back problems. So I was like, oh, it's probably diastasis recti. Like my abs are separated still by like at least 2 fingers, possibly even 3, but it's at least 2.
Wow.
So I talked to my midwives and I was like, I think I need to go to physical therapy for my abs. So I went to physical therapy in June for my abs, and she said my pelvis was crooked. She like, pulled on my feet in the first appointment, and 2 days later my back was out, like couldn't walk again, totally out. So I've been going to physical therapy every week. I haven't been in a few weeks, but up until that point, I was going every single week, and working on my back. The focus became my back. I don't, and I'm a little, I feel uneducated. Like I don't know if we were working on my back to also correct my abs, or if my back just became like the focus because I have had back issues for so long. And I've never had this SI joint pain before. Like that's new.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every day. I feel like a weakness in my back, across
Mm-hmm.
my lower back, and this SI pain every day now. Like it feels worse than what I've experienced with my back over time.
Right. So you can't just say you're back. The problem with the system is you go to assholes who are incapable of diagnosing you. So I don't care if you're bleeding from your rectum, your ear is falling off. I don't care what your problem is. You can't do anything without a diagnosis. And what a diagnosis represents is the identification of the tissue in distress that is eliciting the very symptoms you're experiencing, as a way of trying to create conscious awareness of its distress, so you could provide an intervention to resolve the distress of that tissue. Once done, it no longer has to provide the emergency distress signal, and it ceases.
Mm-hmm.
So unless someone gives you a narrative that says, this is the tissue in distress, I know this based on the physical presentation of the symptoms you're experiencing, and I'm going to do this to make the distress of that tissue be resolved. I don't know what anyone's doing. They're just
Mm-hmm.
wasting your time. They're spitting on the wall and seeing if something sticks. And that's the nature of all this shit. So poor people like you just end up staying in pain forever. So if someone's going to say you have SI joint pain, you're saying it's a joint. Well, what's the purpose of a joint? Joints are designed to allow for range of motion. Cumulatively, it allows for function. So what would be an indication of a tissue of a joint in distress? Well, if it's there for range of motion, then you got to have a loss of range of motion.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a loss of range of motion, why is your SI joint creating pain? It wouldn't. It doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. It's just stupid shit, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to check that, what do you say? It's your right side.
Yeah.
So just take your left knee and pull it into your chest. Sit up. Grab your left knee and pull it into your chest. See how far you can bring it towards your chest. Best you can, whatever you can do. Good, plenty. Fine, that's good. Put it down. Now try the right side. And plenty of range of motion. And if you would kind of open and close your legs, you would see that you could do that equally. Mm-hmm. Ta-da! Your SI joint is perfect. So I don't know what that is. So that's called science. That's called science-based analysis. The purpose of the SI joint is that this is your sacrum and this is the iliac portion of the pelvis. And what has to happen is if you bring your knee up, you have to have this little bit of movement that occurs of the iliac crest on the sacrum. And if you open and close your legs, you get this kind of opening and closing of the joint. That's why the SI joint is there. You need that little bit of freedom of motion of the pelvis to allow motion of the hip to occur. That's why it exists. So you kind of have to know that and know how to test it. Well, obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. So let's stop talking about that. Let's talk about something else that might make sense. So there's a muscle called the piriformis muscle, and that happens to attach to the sacral spine, all 5 sacral spine. And that actually passes where the SI joint is on its path from the sacral spine diagonally across the gluteal region to the hip. I'll bet you strain your piriformis muscle, and that's what's causing your pain.
Okay.
And you'll point to it, and then we'll figure out which of your hip muscles, and I'll teach you something about the gluteus medius muscles, which are what allow you to be able to stand on any one leg while you're walking or climbing stairs or something. And most likely that's what's going on.
Okay.
So, and if this happened at birth, you know, I've had women who have ended up having pain in the butt at birth. And so it's like, oh, is it the birth? It's not the birth. It might have been the way they manipulated you. It might have been the way you manipulated them. It could have just been within the action of giving birth, but that doesn't mean it's the actual birth itself that caused it. I've had people who have had, I mean, literally heart operations, and they come out and they have lower back pain. They're like, what happened? And then they're like, you know, it's this craziest thing, man. I was kind of just going out, and I remember the guy ripping my leg and twisting it over. And that
right.
it probably caused pain. It's not so much the surgery on your heart as much as the guy twisting your leg.
Yeah.
So you gotta be real about this shit. And the thing that makes me is I'm the antichrist to the entire system.
Yeah.
I went to medical school like everybody else, hundreds of thousands of people. And so I'm just graduating, and I get my affiliations as a student. I'm working my first job, and I do the stupidest thing in the world. I actually say to somebody, can you tell me where your pain is? I actually asked the question of the person. I just didn't respond based on their diagnosis. And the craziest thing I found out was that where they were complaining of their pain wasn't where the pain should be based on the MRI diagnosis they got.
Right.
Oh my God, well, that's certainly a confusing kind of thing. And you want to hear what's really crazy? In more than 98% of cases, that thing that was causing their pain, that was eliciting their pain, was a muscle.
Right.
The fucking muscle, man.
Right.
So all I had to do was do a little bit of strengthening here and there, and 2 or 3 treatments. The person's pain-free.
Yeah.
Do they have a herniated disc? Do they have stenosis? Do they have a pitch? They got all that shit, but so does everybody else. What if a 6-foot guy has a herniated disc and MRI shows a herniated disc? Does that mean herniated disc was being 6 foot? Wow, that must be new. That's a new thought. Oh my God, blonde hair in this is caused by herniated discs? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow, this is crazy. Oh, that's right. The fucking planet has all this structural shit going on because nobody knows how to take care of themselves. So if you're 40 and above, you probably have had some structural variation occur. Whether you're in pain or not, it doesn't matter. Anybody is going to find this stuff on their MRI. So who gives a shit what the MRI says?
Right. Right.
That's what we need to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't talk like a medical person. I'm Harvard.
Yeah.
I'm the actual, just a regular hockey-loving, beer-loving guy with a really freakish thing in my brain that made me know something that nobody else does.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it to get you out of pain. So why don't we talk about, why don't you first stand up? Let's point to where your pain is. Well, apparently you're having 2 different places where you're having pain.
Right here.
Okay. That's your primary place right now?
Yes.
Okay. So if you were to put your hands on top of your pelvic rims, like put them on what you would call your hips, right? Yep. And you stick your hands in real heavy there. You'll see that if you take a line from your thumbs, that the place you're complaining of is below that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at this picture here, you would see that what you just did was you put your hands here, right? So if we took our thumbs, you would see it's about an L4-5 right here. And here's L5, L5, S1. So you kind of, once you know that your pain is below the line of the pelvic rim, you're talking about it being in the gluteal region.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So now, piriformis muscle, gluteus medius muscle. So here are two muscles I want you to look at. This is the gluteus medius muscle. That's the muscle. I'm going to explain how that works.
Mm-hmm.
If this muscle strains, this muscle that sits right next to it is going to try to assist it. There's always a hierarchy. Muscles are always going to try to help one another.
Mm-hmm.
That muscle is attaching to, what is this thing called right here? Your sacral spine, right? It's right next to the SI joint, which is right here. It's passing it. That is the piriformis muscle. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're having pain near the spine, but it is not the structure of the spine that is in distress eliciting the pain. It is the attachment of the muscle to the bone that is creating the pain. So it's a muscular deficit. And I'm going to show you how I know that. Okay.
Okay.
So let's have you stand up again. And let's have you face me and put your hands on top of those pelvic rims, and let's see where you are. Okay. So if you kind of look right now, you would see your right hand is higher than your left hand, right?
Yep.
Much higher. Okay. That's telling me, boy, that glute med must be really. Okay. Can you step back a little bit?
Yep.
And before you do, just push the camera down so I can see kind of down to your knee if possible. There you go. Beautiful. Okay. That's the back. Right on. Perfect. Okay. So now let me have you stand on your left foot. Nice job. Okay. Right foot. Good. Stand on the left foot. Now, bend your left knee 3 times. Kind of go just a little bit down. Don't go crazy deep, just a little. 1, 3 times. 2, 3. Good job. Okay, try the right side. Just step back a half a step if you could. Good, right there. Okay, good. Good. 1, 2, 3. Can you see that's harder for you to do?
Yeah, it was harder.
Yes. And can you notice that you're actually side bending to the right as you do it? And your right knee is caving in as you do it. Those are the things you would see. And this is being videotaped, so you could look at it when you get video. So clearly your ability to support yourself on the right side is weaker, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me explain why you're going to have your pain there. Now, you said, did you say you're also still having the lower back pain, or just really?
Yeah, I do. It's not so much like pain as just like it feels weak.
Yes.
Like it feels like I can't support myself.
Yes.
Well.
Yes. Okay. And most likely, so that's where, if we look this way, so this is the lumbar spine. And you'll see that there are these muscles that actually attach directly to all 5 lumbar spine. It's the psoas muscle. It attaches from the lumbar spine to the hip joint. And then just to the outside of that is the QL, quadratus lumborum. It's your lower back muscle. And that attaches from the rib cage to the pelvis. Now, everybody should have a very subtle curve in their lumbar spine. If I look, I would see you probably have an excessive arching of your lumbar spine. Okay. The reason is
the pediatrician actually told my parents that when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because I've been having back pain or back issues for a long time.
Yeah. So it's quite it's very common. It's extremely common. This is the primary reason. 90% of people having lower back pain, this is their reason. So if these two muscles, well, if the hip flexors and your front thigh muscles get too strong in relationship to your butt muscle and your hamstrings, they're going to shorten. So what it's going to do is it's going to take, if this is your pelvis, this is the back of your body, and your pelvis should be level. But if the muscles in the front are stronger and shorter, they're going to pull the front of the pelvis down. And if the front of the pelvis goes down, the back of the pelvis rises.
Mhm.
So if this is the bottom of the rib cage and this is the top of the pelvis and it rises, it's these two are getting closer.
Mhm.
Well, that's where your lower back muscles attached to. So you're going to, by creating an excessive arch, you're shortening your lower back muscles. Your lower back muscles are designed to transmit your torso, upper body force down through the pelvis to the floor. So it's supposed to support your torso.
Yeah.
Well, if it shortens, it can.
Right.
It's going to literally strain and it's going to feel a bit like it's very hard for you to support yourself.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense that that's why you might have that symptom.
Right.
And that's something that will stay unless you correct the imbalance. You got to correct the imbalance.
Yeah.
Right? So the answer is that you would want to probably have to stretch your quad muscles, but primarily just two primary muscles, your glute max and your hamstring. Strengthen them, balance yourself out, and you'll, how do you do if you were to go down and touch your toes? Can you get down pretty far, or that's pretty hard for you?
Should I do it?
Try it. Yeah, give it a shot. Let's see.
See how low I can get this.
Boy, you definitely have a big forward center of mass. You definitely hunch forward. Okay. Okay. Now, turn to the side and raise it up so I can see your back as you're doing it. Right there. Good. Now do that. Yeah, see, it looks like most of that. You're not getting a lot of transition, reversing of the curve in the lower back. Does that feel tight in the back? Where do you feel that?
Yeah, it feels tight down here.
Right there. Yep. Yeah, that's where the QLs are attaching into the top of the pelvis. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just show you this part. So I mean, this is kind of easy shit. You strain your glute med on the right and you just have a muscle imbalance. That's all this is. And it's always been that. I know it seems horrible when, I mean, people sometimes get offended when I say, oh, it's really easy. It's easy for me because I know it's not easy for you. And it's horrible that you've had to go this long. Trust me, I think it's disgusting. But the good news is I do know. So I can make this better really, really quick. Like tonight, you'll feel better. Okay?
Yeah.
So, but I'm not the kind of guy who likes to just say, okay, just do this because I told you to do it. I'm an educating guy. You know, I want you to know. My job is to protect you against all the other schmucks. That's really my job. Eventually, you'll do this, you'll feel better. And now what you should do is you should develop a trust. You say, I know that this guy is a scientist. This guy's not going to steer me wrong. Anything this guy says comes from some scientific basis. There is some scientific physics aspect, the biomechanics, kinesiology, kinematics, genetics. Everything I do is just engrossed in science. So you have a problem up front. Going forward, you say, you know what? I mean, to be honest with you, it's like the only guy I trust that's going to tell me the truth. So, and then you know you protect it. That's who I am. That's the guy
I love that. Especially my background is mental health counseling.
Oh, okay.
And like informed consent is such a huge thing. Educating the person on what we're doing, what techniques we're using, why are we using them, like what, and I feel like even in just my process of going to physical therapy, that whole piece was missing.
Of course it is.
I just got like plugged into some hole, like do these little things when you come and I'll adjust you. And there was no like, here's what we're doing. Here's
you know why that's like that? You know why that's like that? Because I don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. Give me a narrative. Give me a narrative. This is what the tissue in distress is, responsible for your symptoms. I know that based on this interpretation of these symptoms, your body is telling me that actual tissue is telling me based on what it's presenting that that's it. And this is what I'm going to do to stop the distress of that tissue. Did you get something like that from them?
I really started to get a sense that they didn't know what was happening when I continued to complain of my SI joint hurting. And there was no, like, I really started to feel like they don't know.
Of course they don't.
They don't know what happened or why.
So think of this concept. When you go to physical therapy, how did you go? Did you just arbitrarily say, I feel like I'm going to walk in one day? I'm guessing you were referred, right? And you were referred by an orthopedist, a neurologist, some doctor refers you. So you don't go to physical therapy unless you get a referring diagnosis.
Right.
How is that diagnosis typically achieved? Does it just come out of the ass of the person? No, usually it's going to be a diagnostic test. Always, the MRI says this, the X-ray says this. Maybe it's too expensive at this point, so we'll just guess it's a herniated disc. So the diagnosis that you go to physical therapy for is 99.99999% of the time structural. A herniated disc, stenosis, arthritis, a pinched nerve, labral tear, meniscal tear, rotator cuff tear, something like that, right? That's why people go, that's how they go to physical therapists. And the physical therapist is going to do what again? He's going to unherniate your disc? Is he going to unarthritis the arthritis? Is he going to undislocate the kneecap? I mean, if the diagnosis is structural, what's that person going to do to make it unstructural?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So it's a scam. It's a scam. The premise works to say, we don't ever want to really do surgery. I know I'm a surgeon and I went to school for it, but really, I'm anti-surgery. I never wanted to do surgery. I don't even know how I showed up in this job, but it is the way I make a living, and I want to do everything I can to prevent you from getting surgery. So we're going to try all these really cool conservative things. I want you to go to physical therapy. I'm going to give you a diagnosis. You're going to go for 12 weeks. You're going to try it and see. But God, pray. Let's all pray. Let's hold hands and pray that it works. And then you won't have to have this. But there's a caveat. If everything else doesn't work, you got to sign an affidavit saying you're okay with surgery as a last resort.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal. If you want to follow the process, that's where we're going. It's a complete manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complete manipulation. You know why people get surgery? Not because that they have been theoretically proven that they need it. It's because nothing else worked. And they're simply desperate. They have now reached the point of being emotionally, mentally, and spiritually manipulated. Mm-hmm. That's how they end up in surgery. And the doctor says to the person, hey, when the pain gets too much for you, you tell me when you need surgery. He has now basically given up even his moral obligation. Right. He's now telling the person, you're going to tell me when I should do surgery for you. That's how sick the system is. I know this because I've been doing this for 28 years. This is almost 30 years in. I've treated over 15,000 people, thousands scheduled for surgeries. Literally, there's the day I've got the surgery. You're it. Either you get me out of it or I'm getting that surgery. Thousands never got it. Thousands got the surgery, did shit. Still fixed them. You know why? Because it was always a muscle.
Right.
That's the reality of it. And the system, and you're part of the system, so you have to know that the medical system is the only industry that is fee for service. So I'm your chef and I burn your steak. I'm not getting paid for that. I'm your mechanic and your car doesn't start. I'm not getting that. I give you a 5-level fusion of your spine for $350,000 and you want to put a bullet in your head after the fact because the pain's worse. I get my money. All good. In fact, I'd like to do 5 more fusions for you.
Right.
That's the system.
Yeah.
The service. It's the death mark of the system. It will not. Why would I ever want to change the system where you have to keep coming to me forever because you don't know there's an outside system, and I just keep getting paid to screw you up.
Right.
That's the reality. And then there's me.
Yeah.
The one voice outside in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So please thank Janine for suggesting me to you.
Yeah.
So now let's get real. All right, so I'm going to teach you something really cool shit. You're in mental health, so you got to be at least somewhat interested in the body. This is some crazy cool shit. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is your right leg and this is your left leg. Okay, so we have 2 legs we're standing on, 2 points of contact to the ground. I take my left foot off the ground. I only have 1 point of contact right now. Mm-hmm. What would you expect to happen if I take that foot off? My center of mass is all to the left of my right foot, right? So if I take this foot off the floor, you'd expect my pelvis to fall to that side and I'm going to fall to the left. Okay, so why don't I? Look at this muscle. This is evolution's greatest advancement in humans This is what allows us to be bipedal. It's incredible when you realize this. One muscle changed the way humans could be. So for every muscle, there's always a stable side and a mobile side. The mobile side of the muscle is being pulled to the stable side. So let's say this is the stable side, this is the mobile side. So I'm going to grab the muscle, I'm going to take the pelvis, I'm going to pull it down towards the hip joint, and what's going to happen? This side's going to go down, this side's going to come up. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I can create enough force down, I can take this whole center of mass here and pull it up and hold it level, even without my foot off the floor.
Right.
So the reason I can take my left foot off the floor is because my right glute med pulls my pelvis down towards my hip joint, creating enough counter force to keep my pelvis level. And that gives me balance. That's what balance is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what if this isn't so good? What if you strained it? Well, there's another muscle. Remember that muscle I showed you? It's right here. It's right next to it. And there's a hierarchy. The muscle that's in the best position to create force based on an action you're trying to achieve will do it. The next muscle after that tries to help after that one breaks down. The next muscle next to that tries to break down. So what's the muscle that sits right next to the glute med? The piriformis muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So they could tell you to do 300,000 clamshells or whatever dog shit they're going to try to tell you about the piriformis muscle, but I don't really care about the piriformis because that's not really doing anything. This is your answer. You got to strengthen your glute med so that it functions properly so that the piriformis doesn't have to work. How do I know whether what I'm doing is working? Well, number one, we just noted your pelvis isn't level. Your right side is higher than your left side.
Mm-hmm.
That's telling me that your glute med is really, really weak. Because what should happen is, remember I showed you the QLs on the other side? So here's your lower back muscle. And it attaches from the top of the rib, the bottom of the rib cage to the top of the pelvis. So we could actually pull the pelvis up on this side. So if this is not working properly and this drops, that muscle can help. Now, typically, that muscle wasn't designed for that. It can strain. And so when it strains, it shortens. So typically, a person who has a right side glute med strain has a higher side on the left side. You don't. You have it the opposite. The reason is because this is so weak that no matter how much this is tried, it failed. It couldn't even assist. Mm-hmm. That's how I know you have a severe weakness of your right glute med. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
So how could I tell if doing it? So what I was explaining to someone today is that I'm trying to show you that the pain itself isn't necessarily the only symptom that exists. Your altered posture is a symptom related to the cause of your symptom. Your pain is from a strained piriformis caused by a weak glute med. What are indications of a weak glute med? Well, you have altered posture. You have greater difficulty single leg standing and squatting on the right, right? So one of the other things we could do, let's just try this real quick. Let's check out how your piriformis is. So sit back in the chair, put your hands around put your left ankle on your right knee. Now put your hands around your left knee and pull it towards your right shoulder. And you'll see if you start to feel a pull in your butt muscle. Lean back if you can. You feel a pull in the butt, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now try and do it the opposite way. Just go slow. Be very careful.
Okay.
Lean back as you're doing it. And how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels tight.
Feels tight, right? You feel that pulling in your butt area?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of where your pain is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that piriformis is tighter than the left side. So that's another objective finding, right? That's another clinical indicator, a corroborating symptom.
Right.
So you have, now if I was there, I could muscle test you and I would also show you that your right glute med is weaker. So you have a weaker glute med, you have an altered posture, you have greater difficulty single leg standing and squatting on the right, and you have a tighter piriformis. All of those kind of lead you to the narrative that you've strained your right glute med and the piriformis is just compensating in a strain, eliciting pain at its attachment point to your sacral spine.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how like your body really is telling me what it is?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all we're trying to do. That's what the piriformis, shockingly, I mean, it sounds retarded, but it really, all your tissues all have this ingrained in the DNA. Why do you think you sneeze? Why does someone sneeze? Because the mucosal lining of your nose has sensed there's an antigen there and it's trying to tell you, get it out. It's bad. I don't want it. So you sneeze because the mucosal lining told you to sneeze.
Right.
Right? That's what you got to dig, man. This is all in your DNA. Why do you get a temperature? Because white blood cells that were traveling through your blood sensed there was an antigen and said, I need the cavalry to come. So you actually create an increase in temperature, which is the mechanism by which the body starts producing excessive amounts of white blood cells. Right? It's if anybody really took the time to understand the body, it is so overwhelmingly ingenious. The feedback mechanisms that it has is just, I feel in awe that I get to work on the body, that I get to understand this stuff and appreciate it for what it is and be able to manipulate it in a way that returns everything.
Right.
But that's the essence of this. I really have spent 28 years listening to every person I've ever worked on tell me their tale, tell me where their symptoms are. And it's allowed me to know exactly within 30 seconds which tissue, especially if it's muscle, which muscle is responsible for their situation.
Right.
And it just puts me at like, I don't know, maybe 97, 98% success rate. Like retardedly high.
Yeah.
So, all right. So does this make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to do hip abduction on the right. And then that thing you talk about with the abdominal thing, I find that very, very fascinating. But I want you to take solace in understanding that I definitely hope that it does close and heal. I mean, certainly I think that's important for you. But the abdominal wall plays virtually no role in back stability.
Okay.
Virtually nothing. If you actually looked at a cross-sectional MRI of the abdominal sheath, it's like that. And this is about the thickness of your QL muscles. It's really a massive difference.
Yeah.
What will determine the health of your lower back muscles is the position of your pelvis. What is the relationship of the bottom of the rib cage to the top of the pelvis? That determines the length of your lower back muscles and how strong they'll be, how well they'll be able to feel like they support your back, all that stuff. Okay. So that relates to the relationship between the hip flexors and the quads in the front versus the butt muscle and the hamstring. So I'm going to just basically give you hamstring curl and hip extension to resolve your lower back pain.
Okay.
And it'll make you feel strong and stable. And
sounds great.
This will just get you. So the goal of all I ever do when someone has symptoms is reorganize the body, get everything strong and balanced so that all the muscles are working properly and then they're not stressed and don't elicit symptoms. After that, if at some point you decide you really want to try to take it to a whole other level and kind of like what I did with Janine with her shoulder, but like do kind of an overall generalized strength training thing, we could always spend a session just really teaching you everything when you're asymptomatic.
Okay.
I mean, it's just something for you to consider, but I want people to recognize that you have such a level of control over your health. I mean, it's just huge, just huge.
Yeah.
Strength training is, I mean, for anyone to say it's just about muscle, you're an idiot. You have no understanding. I'm going to tell you because you're in mental. All right, here's a theoretical basis I came up with. You know how they always say this? What's the most important system in the body? Everyone is always battling this thing. So the cardiologist, the cardiovascular system, because it's the heart that pumps the blood, and you need that to get everything. And then the neurologist is like, well, you can't live without a nervous system. Okay. We were cavemen, right? We were cavemen at one time, right? And we didn't have time to think about what's our favorite fruit or wine or what are we going to do this afternoon, right? Basically, there was a dinosaur trying to eat us, or there was horrible weather, right? Yeah. And so we had three primary things we had to worry about. We had to have shelter, someplace to sleep. We had to eat food, and we had to get out of bad weather, right? So it really wasn't so much a discussion about the quality of my arterial system whether I had a little liver impingement or not. It was a question of whether my muscles were strong enough to stop me from eating, hunting for food, or creating shelter, right? So the
Yeah.
reality is, in real life, because you live on Earth. Earth exists. You could only exist because there's a gravitational environment that you live in, and it's pushing down on you. And you don't do anything other than laying on the floor unless you have enough strength to do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reality is that the system that is most important to the human being on Earth, maybe other places that might be different, is the musculoskeletal system. If you go back to the caveman time, you realize if you didn't run fast enough, you were dead.
Yeah.
That's it. No one cared about your heart level. None of that shit, man. You either ate or you died. You got away from the dinosaur or you died. You got inside or you died, right? So now, if you start thinking about this concept, so now I've recognized that, and I want to keep my musculoskeletal system strong. So I'm going to do lifting weights. Now, I make muscle mass, and muscle mass is living tissue. It's alive. So I've got to get blood to it because that living tissue needs oxygen. So my pulmonary system has to work more efficiently. My gastrointestinal system has to produce more glucose because there's more tissue alive. It needs sugar, right? And my pulmonary, the cardiovascular system has to get blood to this new tissue. My immune system has to keep this extra tissue alive, keep it away from any antigens. Mm-hmm. So what you start to recognize is that all the systems are designed to support the musculoskeletal system. So if I want to enhance my cardiovascular system, my gastrointestinal system, my pulmonary system, I make more muscle. That's it.
Right.
That's what makes those have to work harder. I don't technically come out and try to pump my lung to make it more effective, right? I don't pull my heart out and squeeze it.
Yeah.
I strengthen my muscle to make my other systems more effective.
Yeah.
That's just the way this works, man. So if anybody says to me, I've got 20 minutes to a half hour a day, that's all I got. My life is crazy. I got kids and work and all. I'll give you 3 of the most intense exercises I can think of that will work as much of your body as you can. And that's probably the best thing you'll ever do for yourself in your life. Mm-hmm. It's a very, unique, off the board mindset, but I think it explains things better than anything that exists out there.
Yeah.
I really do. And I've seen the results. I mean, I took a lady that was 340 pounds. I took it down to 160 pounds. 15-year insulin-dependent diabetic. By the time we were done, never took insulin again, never had diabetes, had no cholesterol issue, had vertigo, and all of it disappeared when she took the 180. And that was over 22 months.
Yeah, that's great.
And you put yourself through some pretty strenuous stuff. Birth is not easy for women. I mean, it's just crazy. It beats the shit out of the body. Yeah. So for sure. Hopefully I can kind of I'll get you out of pain and maybe just inspire enough to want to kind of develop a little weightlifting program. And it's really easy. And you just could use resistance bands. You don't need to go to a gym. You could do this yourself on your own.
I am interested because I was literally talking to my friend about like CrossFit. I was like, I'm so weak. I need to be like strengthened, but that's like a
CrossFit. The danger with CrossFit is that they're ballistic types of movements. So let's say you're going to do a cling. So you bend down and you come up as fast as you can. What was the thing that caused you to get the weight to its highest point? It wasn't strength, it was momentum.
Right.
Momentum only works in one direction, up. Well, you just hit the high point, your hands are here now, and you're holding this weight. Suddenly some other thing is going to begin to grab. That's called gravity. Suddenly that shit's going to suddenly come down, and suddenly you just decided here whether you're strong enough to support that weight. I don't think that was a good decision. Yeah. That's why 50 to 60% of people who do CrossFit end up hurting themselves. Yeah, CrossFit is way on the way down there.
I wasn't sold on CrossFit, but I just had this idea that like I need strengthening.
Correct.
gonna need
Yeah.
strengthening.
So it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do these 3 bullshitty little exercises. Everyone's like, "This is it. This is all you can do." You are not gonna believe how much you feel like you've exerted yourself doing 3 bullshit exercises with a resistance band. But what you're gonna understand is that I'm isolating these muscles. I'm thinking that you got to do these like perfect. My exercises are exercises at the extreme level of kinesiology, biomechanics, kinetics. I've kind of taken the sciences on my own, which really makes me a bit insane. But I know about weightlifting in a form of science. I took a high school physics course and started applying physics laws, kinetic energy, potential energy, force vector, and that's what gives me this advantage. But it's what you need. We will make your right glute med stronger. We'll make your hamstrings and your glute max stronger, and you will, like tonight, you are gonna feel different.
Okay.
So we're gonna get you, and we're gonna get you out of pain. From that point forward, I mean, I would love it. You know, you want to invest another couple $100, man. We spend it, and I'll give you like 1 exercise per body part, which is all you need to do. I don't ever do any more than 2 myself, and I put 60 pounds of muscle on. And we'll get you the understanding of how to begin to really get your overall body stronger. And like I said, the systemic benefit will be awesome as well.
Yeah.
And we'll try to make you be the strongest you've ever been, and the healthiest, it's,
Yeah.
I don't want everyone to think I'm not, it's not just about the strength. It's like, I'm 60. I could lift a house. I mean,
Yeah.
but more importantly, like, nobody's gonna, like, if you check my lung capacity, my cardiovascular capacity, it's ridiculous. It's huge.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. That's what I like about this thing I do, is that I've worked with a lot of people, all different levels, people near death and stuff. And you get 1 chance with your body. You can fuck up your car, you can screw up your house.
Yeah.
When that body goes, man, it gets harder and harder to bring it back.
Yeah.
So you just gotta protect it the best you can. And I think the biggest problem I have, and the thing I feel bad about, is that most people don't realize really just how much you can affect your body by doing this stuff. So that's why I'm real emphatic about trying to spread the gospel.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you ready?
Ready.
All right, so we're gonna do. So you would say right now, if you stand, you have that pain in the butt area, right? When you were standing, you had the pain there.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if I make you stand and don't have the pain, you would say, obviously, I've done something correct.
Yes.
All right, good. All right, so we're gonna do hip abduction first. All right, you have a resistance band available? I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. All right. So here's how we do I'll do it first. And remember, this is being recorded. So tomorrow, I'm gonna send you this recording through WeTransfer. You're gonna it'll have a link in the email. You're gonna take the link. You're gonna download it to your hard drive so you have it available. And then before you do every time you're gonna do your exercise, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you're going to use this. You're gonna look at it, make sure you understand all the cues, and then you're gonna do the exercise with yourself. Doing the exercise. Okay. All right. So what we have is we have the band, and I'm gonna make a knot in the band at the end. So I have a knot at the end of a loop. Then I'm gonna take the knot and I'm gonna put it through the door at ankle height, close the door, and now I have a loop for me to put my foot through.
Okay.
Okay? So now I'm gonna take this chair. So I'm gonna put both feet in the band. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it off to the side. You're gonna come straight out. I just want you to be able to see my feet.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna have our feet right next to each other. The right foot gets turned in until it's facing 11 o'clock. So the first part of my foot that comes to the side is my heel. I'm gonna be holding on to the chair to stabilize myself. Now I've got all my weight on my left leg. I'm just gonna move my right leg out. Gonna move my right leg out just enough until the outer portion of the ankle meets the outer portion of my hip. I'm not coming all the way. You always see those crazy people doing that shit all the way out there. None of that. This is tiny. 4 or 5 inches at best. So I'm just bringing it out till the outer portion of the ankle meets the outer portion of the hip. I put my foot down. Now I'm going to shift all my weight onto my right foot. So I just move my pelvis over. See, I can take this foot off if I want. Then I'm going to bring it back. So it's 4 steps. It's out, down, shift over, come back. Out, down, shift over, come back. So you'll notice, if I wanted, I could take my left foot and I could push myself over, right? But I don't want to do that. I'm trying to isolate my right glute med. So I'm just weight bearing on my left foot, and the only thing that's happening is I'm moving the right foot over, putting it down, shifting onto it fully, coming back. Out, down, over, back. And if I'm doing it right, I'm going to feel it right here.
Okay.
All right. You want to give it a try?
Yeah.
All right. Let's pump it up. Did Janine say I was crazy?
No. She said that she had the most relief of pain that she's ever had.
When the time comes, she's going to become a Zoom certified practitioner. She's going to work under me and spread the gospel.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm excited for her.
She'd be good at it.
Yeah, yeah. And so what happens is there's 3 levels of it. The first one is one body part. So for her, it's going to be a shoulder because, like she could do these exercises perfectly. I just have to teach her a little anatomy, teach her how to know what's wrong, and then she's going to be great at it.
Okay, let me go try to get it down.
Put the camera all the way down. There you go. Okay, good. Put the chair in front of you.
Oh, I don't have my chair.
No, there's a chair right behind you. There's a snack there or something behind you.
Oh, huh. Well, I got this one.
Okay, good. You got it. Okay, good. Just like that. So you're going to put your hands on there. We don't want you focused on balance. So I want you putting a good amount of weight on your hands and your left foot while you're doing this, okay?
Okay. And then my left foot gets turned to 11?
Nope, the right foot.
Right.
The one that's moving. Turn it to 11 o'clock.
11.
Start with your feet right next to each other. Good. Now, you're going to put all your weight. Your nose is over your left foot. You're going to move your right foot out just about 4 inches. Put your foot down. Now, shift your weight onto it. And now go back. Good. Do it again. Good. Down. Shift.
Yeah, I already feel it.
Right. Now, make sure you're keeping your right foot turned in to 11 o'clock. Right. Okay. Lead out with the heel. Make the heel be the first part that moves out to the side.
Okay.
Okay, go back. And keep that position. Keep that 11 o'clock the whole time. Okay. Never stops. Good. Right there. And over and back.
Yep.
Keep that foot to 11 o'clock. Never change it. Out. Shift. And back. Good. Got 5 more. We're going to do 10.
Okay.
Good. So you could feel the whole motions occurring right from that right hip region.
Yep.
Nice. 7. 8. Good. Not too fast. Really take your time. Accentuate the movement. Nice job. Very nice. Okay. Take a rest. Take your feet out. Sit down and relax.
Okay.
So could you feel that working on the right side of the pelvis there?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So that's working your right glute med. So now we got to talk about what's the right resistance to use. You definitely got the technique down. We're going to do 2 more sets of it to confirm it. But we want to make sure that you're using the right resistance level to cause the muscle to adapt to get stronger and grow. So we use what's called the perceived exertion scale, and it goes from 0 to 10. 10 feels like you're going to tear a muscle, 0 is nothing. 8 would feel like if I said, could you do an 11 to 12? You'd say, yeah, but that's pretty hard. 5 would feel like if I said, you think you could do 15 or 16? You would say yes. So I would say to you, how hard, 0 to 10, do you think it was by the 10th one? How hard do you think that was? 10 being like it felt you were going to tear a muscle. 8 feels like if I said, could you do an 11 to 12? Yeah, but it would be hard. 5 feels like it. Could you do 15 and 16? You'd say yes. 0 feels like it didn't do anything.
Probably like a 4 or 5. Like I
Okay,
could.
good. You want to hear something crazy? So they did studies to establish which is more effective, which more accurately represents exertion. A watch measuring your heart rate or the perceived exertion scale. By far, the perceived exertion scale is more accurate in determining how hard someone's working than the, the rate, the heart rate scale.
Mhm.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
It was literally confirmed. And it's so cool because I love that idea because I think people are pretty accurate in determining. Once they understand what the numbers represent, I think they can tell how hard they're working.
Yeah.
And then there's multiple. I mean, how did you drink water or not? All of those. There's a lot of things that can affect your heart rate, heart volume, stress, eating. There's a lot of things. So
Right.
that's why I love this thing. I started doing this shit, man, 20 something years ago. I've always used the perceived exertion scale, and I think it works. I've loved it. So
yeah.
All right. So what does it tell you? It tells you we didn't get enough resistance. So what you're now going to do is you're going to get up, get into the position. You're going to move your feet 2 inches away from the door, two inches farther away, which is going to increase the resistance level. You're going to try another 10. We're going to see what your perceived exertion is.
Okay.
Want to do that? Yeah. Good. Just turn the camera down a little bit more so I can see. There you go. Okay. Here we go. All right, yep. Good. Good. Little faster, just try to slow it down just a little bit.
Okay.
Good. You got one more? I think this is 10. Good. All right. That was 10.
Okay.
What do you think? Give me a number, 0 to 10. 8, you could do an 11 to 12. 5, you could do 15 or 16.
That was definitely harder, but I don't think all the maybe like 7.
Okay. All right. Take a rest. We're going to wait a minute, and then we're going to just move out an inch more.
Okay.
So once we find, which is probably going to be this time, oh, I think we've got an exertion level of 8. That becomes the resistance you're going to use now. So the best thing I tell people to do is just go get some masking tape or Scotch tape. Wherever your right foot is, mark it on the floor. That's the distance away from the door that you should be to achieve an exertion level of 8. That's your start point, right? So you're going to stay with that. And now your muscle is going to adapt. It's going to get stronger. And eventually it's going to go from the 8 down to the 5 because you made muscle mass. right? When you get down to 5, that 15 or 16, now you're going to move yourself about 2 inches or farther away from the door, put a new piece of tape there. That becomes your start position. You increase your resistance, therefore the perceived exertion is going to go up, back up to an 8. Stay there. Stay with that resistance level until it goes down to a 5. Move yourself out 2 inches, and then you're going to put the tape down. That becomes the new point. You're going to be back up at an 8. Stay there until it goes down to a 5. That is the basis of progressive resistance. I don't care if it's you or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everybody, it's the same.
Okay, yeah.
That's how you make muscle stronger. I don't care if someone told you that 100 repetitions is better, that doing it 70 times a day is better, doing it 7 times. It's all bullshit. Muscle works really simple.
Yeah.
It adapts to greater resistances by making more muscle mass. End of story.
Yeah.
What do you need? More muscle mass because you're weak in a particular muscle, not generally.
Yeah.
In particular muscles, right? And that's what we're doing. We're just isolating. You could see that you're working pretty hard, and we're kind of just making you step over about 4 inches, put some weight on your leg, and go back. But I'm trying to make it be just that one muscle doing it. That's why you're holding on. That's why you're moving just from the hip. You're not bending your knee. You're turning your foot in to accentuate the use of the glute med. All of these little details are what cause you to get pure isolation. And pure isolation causes the muscle to adapt in the fastest period of time. No one's saying to me, oh, if I could be done in 3 months or 3 weeks, I choose 3 months. And everyone wants to be out of this in the shortest period of time.
Right.
That's what I can give you. That's what I know over everybody else. What is the fastest way to isolate a muscle and make it stronger so it can function back in without a symptom? That's all we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
All right. So far, so good?
Yes.
Digging it?
Yes.
Isn't this fun?
Yeah, I was.
I believe I get paid to do this shit for people.
Already feeling it. I know.
I take it unbelievably serious. You can see when I start, I'm very angry and stuff. But the joy that I get, oh my God, this is heaven.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I feel very, very blessed. And I honestly have no idea why hundreds of thousands of people graduate the same exact shit I did and just like went in, started treating people and never said to the person, could you just tell me where your pain is? How that wasn't the first question that anyone would think, I'm meeting you for the first day. How someone wouldn't say, could you just tell me where your pain is? I just want to know where it is. I mean, I want to understand what your pain is. So just tell me where it is. And then like it not be like these flashing lights. Wait a second. I'll give you like a really, really stupidish concept. This happened literally as I was in my last affiliation. The guy who I did my last affiliation for was a therapist for the New York Islanders hockey team. I mean, I got as lucky as you can get. And I didn't go back to school. I was 18. I was 30. I graduated 32. So I'm a grown man, huge amount of life experience, had been weightlifting, taught myself biomechanics. So I'm kind of crazy-ish. And so I'm not your normal student getting in there. So I walk in and I'm like, 35-pound dumbbells. I thought you guys treat the Islanders. What kind of shit is this? Where's the squat rack? And he's like, holy shit, you're crazy. He's like, I like that. So I actually got hired within 2 weeks of my last affiliation. He's like, you graduate, you're going to be working here.
Wow.
So the guy's best friend, his high school, his college roommate was the orthopedist for the Islanders. Obviously, that's why he became a therapist, right?
Yeah.
So he's in the office next door. And the way it works is that the person opens the door, comes to the orthopedist, comes through, makes an appointment there, gives them a prescription. And that's how so it's like 40 people a day running through this office, right? And I'm literally has just graduated. So he works on the Islanders, so he's not around. So I'm there my first day, and I'm like, okay, so what should I do? And, it's just the administration. And I'm like, how the hell would we know what to do? We just do paperwork and shit. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, do whatever you think you should do. So I'm like, you got to be kidding. I just graduated yesterday, and you're telling me to do whatever I want, and you're not going to get mad at me. They're like, we can't get mad at you. We don't know what you're supposed to do. He's not here. Do whatever you think. So I'd had this weightlifting background. So I'm going to show you something. Watch. So a guy comes in and he says his pain is right here, right here, right? And his diagnosis is a torn MRI, a torn meniscus. The MRI says he has a torn meniscus in the knee and he's going to need surgery. So he just came in and, you know, obviously, like I told you, they're going to say, oh, you need to try therapy, right? So I stupidly say, so tell me where your pain is. And they'll say his pain is like right here. Now watch. The joint line of the knee is right here. My hand is on the joint line between the thigh bone and the tibia. And this is where the meniscus exists.
Yeah.
Right? But his pain is here. This is not that.
Right.
Pain is here. This is where the meniscus exists. So if his pain is here, how could the meniscus cause that pain? I mean, isn't that kind of just logic?
Right.
Am I completely out of my fucking mind?
Yeah.
The meniscus is here, his pain is here. So when I evaluate him, it turns out this is where the medial hamstring attaches. And I press all the way into his hamstring, like, yeah, that's it. That's causing my pain. And he's weak. I'm like, oh my God. I think the cause of his pain is a strained hamstring. All right, they said, do whatever I want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to massage his hamstring. I'm going to do some strengthening. And the guy comes back like 3 days later and he's like, holy shit, I'm pain free. That's amazing. How did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. No, I just did what I thought. I don't know. And so now I'm doing this and it's happening every time. And it's like, this is a muscle. It's had nothing to do with a cervical disc. And now I'm instantly, literally, I just graduated. I'm having this quandary. I work for the therapist whose college roommate is the referring doctor, giving these diagnoses that he wants to do surgery with. And I'm figuring out he's wrong every time. And I know it's muscle. What are you going to do? Are you going to tell people? Are you kidding? They're going to fire me instantly. They're going to say, I'm going to say that they're wrong. So I'm like panicking. I'm into this a month, 2 months.
Right.
And I am completely panicking. I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do about this? And I can't go to Steve because he would fire me instantly anyway. So I kind of said to myself, you know what? Don't say anything. Don't say anything about what the cause is. Just say, hey, we're going to try this therapy and let's just see if it makes your pain go away, okay? Let's do that. And that's the way I started doing it. I started just saying, yeah, you know, I'm not saying you don't have a torn meniscus, but I'm going to just try and do some stuff. And you can because you really just want to be out of pain. So let's just see if we can get you out of pain. And I would just get them out of pain. And I try to never, ever say anything. And it got very, very, I was with Steve for 1.5 years. And after that 1.5 years, I opened my own practice. That's how the whole thing
really right.
But it was a very, very tough year. I was constantly having emotional issues, mental issues. I was like, it's a job or I lie to people.
Yeah.
I know what's really causing their pain and what they're being told is a complete liar. What am I supposed to do about this?
Yeah.
It was the beginning of, you're in mental health. This thing has like made me crazy. I got complete enlightenment about 2 to 3 years ago. I got divorced. I had almost a decade with my daughter. This thing completely destroyed my life. I mean, it was a disaster. But and now, thank God, I'm at peace. I understand that this thing that I can do is an entity onto its own. It ain't me.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy. I'm just some guy who likes to fool around, have fun, be happy. Whatever happens with this entity, that's just business stuff.
Yeah, right.
But going back at the beginning of this, I just figured out I knew something that nobody else really seemed to. And there were other 2 therapists there. They weren't doing anything like it. They just followed the routine. They never talked, never refuted a diagnosis, whatever that person came in. It's a meniscus. What an injustice.
Yeah.
And the crazy part, by the time I finished,
something like that, when you know that it's not right.
And isn't it weird? Like, wouldn't it seem like common sense if you're treating somebody for the very first thing to say is like, so where's your pain?
Yeah, you'd think, right.
It's amazing. You ever talk? Well, you already had an experience. I was going to say, if you ever talked to a physical therapist, you had an experience with it. You see how like it's just clueless, mindless.
Yeah.
I had a guy that I treated. I just did a Zoom session yesterday. The dude is so a normal spine, like you have an extreme arch, right? Here's neutral. Here's your arch. This guy was this. Very rare to see. Full blown posterior tilt. Something happened to his quads. He just lost strength in his quads. So he has no arch in his back. In fact, it's inverted, right?
Wow.
So he needs to strengthen his quads and his hip flexors. He said he went to a physical therapist and the guy gave him 20 different versions of a plank. a plank, which puts you on your elbows and your feet, causing you to use basically all your muscles. How does that change the dynamic that's causing him to be in this unique, pretty 10 to 20% of the population will ever end up like this guy? What's the end? And he just said, what you said. He wanted to work on my core.
Yeah, they
Well,
have no idea.
Are your abdominals attached to your feet? I don't think anatomy, and I don't think my abdominals are attached to my feet or my elbows. So how is balancing on my feet and my elbows causing my abdominals to contract?
Yeah.
Kind of dumb, no? But that's a physical therapist.
Yeah.
That's the nature of, that's the wackiness of this. It might sound cruel, and I say a lot of very harsh things, but as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to pain, I want physical therapy abolished. As in, there's just no point in going. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want you. You're pissing away your money for no reason.
Yeah.
Right? This is very specific. I'm telling you exactly what you are working the 3 primary muscles you need. No other muscles needed to work. You will be pain-free, fully functional just by doing what I'm asking you to do. Very specific to you, not to that guy. If I did what I'm going to do to you, to the guy that I'm talking about, that guy would be in more pain than he could ever imagine. He would actually be off the charts. Maybe you have to go to the hospital. That's how bad his back pain would get.
Yeah.
Because we would be doing the exact opposite of what he needs. So again, interpret the body's presentation of symptoms. That's what we want.
Right. Yeah.
All right, good. Last set of this side. You're going to move out just an inch more from where you are. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to see if we can pull that 8 on this one.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that on the camera. I'll try.
Okay.
All right. So I think this is where I went before. So now I got to go like to here.
Okay.
Can you?
If you can't get it on the camera, that's pretty good. We could go with that for now.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Okay. Now, if you're starting to run into a room constraint, you could always also shrink the size of the room.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, and I don't have to do it here. I'm just doing it here right now.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm just giving you that as an option when you get ready to do this wherever you're going to be. Looks good. Yeah, that's really good.
This is definitely harder.
Okay, good. I think that was 4. Two more. One more. Nice job. Good. Okay, that's 10. Take a rest.
Okay.
So you felt like that was pretty close, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So now just kind of stand up and tell me if it feels like you're having less of that butt pain. Walk around, do whatever you feel like doing.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts The worst when I go from sitting to standing.
When you go from sitting to
Yeah,
standing?
when like I'm sitting and then I stand up.
Yeah,
And I didn't have any pain when I just stood up.
yeah, good. Try it again. Just try it one more time.
Yeah, like a little. I felt it a little bit.
Okay. But definitely less than it was, right?
But oh, for sure. It over the last few days, like I couldn't even extend my right leg the last
Right.
couple days.
Right.
Like in just walking, like my gait was messed
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So it feels better than that.
Good.
Yeah, definitely
Okay.
noticed a difference from just before we started.
Yeah, good. All right, I'm just gonna get more ice water and then I'm gonna show you a hamstring curl. Give me
Okay,
one sec.
sure.
I want to show you something. Let's see what you're thinking of. So I've been doing this now for 28 years, and I had a practice, and that was quote unquote under physical therapy, but health insurance collapsed in 2012. I went out, and that was it. And I've been floundering. But basically, this has always just been science to me. Like I don't know anything about business. My entire brain is invested in understanding the nuance of movement and pain and all this other shit.
Right.
So finally now, this guy who I'm friends with is like 100 million, and he's like helping me make a business. And literally 28 years later, I'm starting from scratch. This is incredible. I made my website livewithoutpains.com just like 6 months ago. So I'm trying to come up with a logo, and I came up with this idea. Tell me what you think of this concept.
Okay.
So it says on the top, it's a little
Yeah.
hard to see, but it says the Yas method, and on
Yeah.
the bottom for pain-free movement. But the idea of it's Mercury and he's holding the Y, the Yas method. He's carrying the Yas
Yeah.
method.
Yeah.
What do you think of
Yeah.
that concept?
Yeah. I'm not really super familiar with Mercury, but what I got from the image was just kind of like freedom.
Yes. Yes. That's what the idea is. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. He was fast and agile. And so you could see he's got wings on his helmet. He's got wings on his shoes because he was so free and he had the ability to move quickly,
Yeah.
which is why he was. And that's what the Yas method gives you.
Yeah.
It gives you freedom. That's what to me Mercury represents.
Yeah.
Freedom, agility, the ability to do what you want. So I don't even know how this came to me. This happened this past. Oh, it wasn't me. I must say that's what it was. Goodyear uses Mercury shoe, and FTD used his helmet. And I was treating this lady's kid, and out of nowhere she says, "You need Mercury to be carrying the Yas, to carry the Y or your name." So
Yeah.
Mercury is literally taking your method and making it available to people, the freedom. And I was like, holy shit, that sounds so cool. So I came up with I found a little image of Mercury, and then I kind of just wrote in the Y.
Yeah.
He's holding on to it. And I mean, I don't know shit about this. So it's going to a graphic designer. but I gave that to the guy who sent it to the graphic designers.
Right. To draw it up.
Like you always want to have like this. I always like envision, like Amazon, the stupid little squiggly thing, and
Yeah.
wow, how cool would it be to like have this image that like everybody sees that image and says, "Oh my God, that's
Yeah, and they know.
you know?
They know who
So
belongs to it.
I'm now in these weird places where I'm working on different aspects of. So just so you can see that I'm not like schlocky or anything. I was just highlighted in a magazine called Top Sunday, which is in England. It may be one of the biggest magazines sold. It's the equivalent of Men's Health.
Wow.
And I just got
That's great.
it's I didn't I was interviewed by an Australian writer over a year ago for this. A lady named Helen Foster.
And
Her
it just
name
came
was Helen
out.
Foster, and she did an interview with me, and it was for this, and it just suddenly showed up. Yeah, I'll show you. Here it is.
Wow.
And that's the and it's a whole and my name's in there, and I'm
Yeah,
I'm the
that's
one
so
that's being
cool.
quoted. It's wild shit, man.
That's awesome.
So you think like I should be some stuck up dickhead, but I'm just like so regular, it's pathetic. I'm at the point now where it's like, thank God I have found the spirituality thing, and I have now completely disassociated myself. You got to acknowledge, I mean, you're in mental health, right? You figure out that you seem to know something that nobody in the world seems to know. Wouldn't you think that maybe like God is using you for like some weird thing? I mean, it's like you can make people's pay.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was thinking you have a lot of like divinely inspired knowledge
Right. And it would
and
kind of make
ideas.
so if you thought that God was using you, then you were a tool of God, and therefore everything else is not as important. You're
Yeah, it
being
doesn't
used by
matter.
God. So, your marriage, your relationship with your kid, I mean, it's second to this. God's using you, right? So anyone I think could see that could fuck you up really, really bad.
Yeah.
And what if then people are quoting religious text and it says that at the end God will share his abundance with you? There were quotes in there that in the Bible that says that you will be paid in abundance for the assistance, and then it never comes, and in fact you go bankrupt. You think you're going to
Yeah.
get like a little angry? Think
Yeah.
maybe there'll be some resentment, maybe? Why
Yeah.
would God give you this and not take care of you?
Right.
And so I went into a severe spiral from that.
Yeah.
And that took me a decade to come out of.
Yeah.
And basically, when everything crashed, I became despondent. And so I could be home and I could be looking at a wall for 6 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And at one point, my ex-wife was like, "You got to get out of here. We can't have that anymore here." And that's
Yeah.
what happened. And it was literally like she hit me with a sledgehammer in the head. And suddenly, it's amazing how it was cathartic. And all of a sudden, all the problems I had literally from a child growing up, self-esteem issues, all these wacky. I thought I had heard voices in my head when I was a kid that I was going to have an extraordinary life. I literally heard someone saying to me, "You are going to have an extraordinary life. You are to live in extraordinary." That's why I did everything. I assumed I was just doing what I was called to do.
Yeah.
And all these self-esteem issues, it all came to fruition. And finally, at the end of it, it's like, oh my God, you know what I need to do? I need to forgive myself. I need to say all
Yeah.
that shit that you went through. You were just a kid, man. You didn't know what was going on. You weren't mentally prepared to understand all these things that were happening to you. You got to forgive yourself. And
Yeah.
that was it. That was the beginning of the enlightenment.
Yeah.
And
You've been
in
through a lot.
complete peace. Complete peace.
And there's so many things in this life that like don't make sense.
Right.
So many things. But I feel like even in my life, and I don't have some like crazy traumatic like circumstances, but life is can just get so hard.
Yep.
And I just feel like in the Bible it also Jesus said, I will never leave you or forsake you.
Right.
I just think he said that for like a very specific reason, because we're going to go through some hard crap.
Right.
And because we're in a fallen world, unfortunately. And we just need to know that even though we go through that crap, like he's still there and he's still with us.
Yeah. So I think that the vast majority of every bad thing that everybody goes through ultimately comes back to you questioning your self-worth or your self-esteem. So here's examples. Let's say that you're dating this person and they break up with you. And you have this complete meltdown. Oh, I can't live without them. It wasn't about them. It's about the fact that you're saying, I'm not good enough for them, therefore I have no self-worth. That's what you're questioning. It's not the breakup from them. It's the questioning the fact that maybe you aren't good enough and therefore you have a lack of self-worth. When you don't get your raise that you're entitled to, you think it's about the money? No, you're saying, oh, is that person better than me? I guess I don't have self-worth. Right? When you get into a car accident, it's that person. No. I should have gotten it because I suck. I'm a bad person. Everything in life that happens to people that are bad will always come back to the fact that everybody is always questioning their self-worth. You're constantly doing it. And ultimately, if you want to reach enlightenment, you simply love yourself. You just forgive yourself for every bad thing that you thought you felt, and it's all good. It's all good. I can't be hurt now. My ex-wife still tries to say horrible things to me. I am now on the other side, you see. She could paralyze me for 3 days, for 4 days. I could be paralyzed, sitting in a chair, despondent because she got so deep into my core and made me feel so crappy about myself by something she said. But once you come onto the other side and you reach enlightenment, and I'm not fully enlightened, but I'm substantially beyond where I was.
Right.
It doesn't matter what she says. I love myself. I'm a good person. Anything that I read this book, which is what transformed my life. And basically it says that you are a crystal at birth. You are complete, but not completed. Everything that happens to you is external to the crystal. Therefore, nothing in terms of the quantity of the crystal can ever be changed. Just how bright it shines, the quality of it. And that's based on you. You can shine yourself, you can make yourself feel better, right? But in terms of any diminishment to the crystal, nothing, nobody, nothing can ever change that.
Yeah.
And I've done this now for 2 years ago. When this happened to me. For 58 years, I bet you I can count the number of happy days I had on 2 hands. In 2 years, I have not had an unhappy day. Not one. I mean, I'm talking glorious days. Everything is glorious. When I sit and have my cup of coffee in the dark and I watch the sunrise and I look at trees and I hear birds, I'm in my glory. When I'm helping you resolve your pain and give you life back, your joy that you will want to share again in your life, I am in my glory. When I'm doing a podcast, when I'm working out, when I'm driving and listening, everything is glorious.
Yeah.
Everything is glorious.
Yeah.
Because I live literally, I live for the moment, every moment in the last 2 years. The average person is worried about their mortgage, their credit card, the fight they had with their spouse, the battle with the kid, the work. And so they're thinking. And if you're in thought, you can't be experiencing the moment.
Yeah.
Most people live in thought.
Yeah.
They're living in thought. You gotta break that. You gotta break that battle, man. It's tough. And I went schizo, so I'm very lucky that. And it sounds horrible to say. I'm sure people would say that's insane, but The best thing that ever happened to me was her asking for a divorce.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be me right now. Now, I'm now becoming a guest on podcasts, and I'm in an international forum on for what doctors don't tell you of 4 panelists about back pain. And this thing is going to blow up now because everyone needs it. They're going to find out it exists, and
Yeah.
it will be what it'll be, right?
Yeah. People are
I'm
gonna
at peace,
look for
man.
answers.
I'm at peace. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I get $1 million, $10 million. I don't give a shit anymore. I just want this life. I just want my daughter. Well, obviously I get her every other weekend, and this weekend is mine. And she told me about this convention that she wants to go to. It's about, I don't know if you know, but there's this like cosplay, costume play, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay, so they're run good and shit, right? She wants to go, and she's like, I know it's gonna suck for you because you don't want to go and watch and look at costumes and events. I'm like, Natalia, you understand what love means? Maybe you don't understand this concept. I go because I get to spend time with my daughter. I adore you. You're everything to me. So we could literally just walk through shit and I would be happy.
Yeah.
It's not what we do, it's that we do it together. So never worry about whether I'm going to be happy or not. You don't have to be worried. I'm so happy just to be with you. And she
Yeah.
back to me and she's like, I love you so much. I mean, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Right? This is, to
That's
me, this is
beautiful.
what life's all about at this point. So
How old is she?
she's 15.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So very
And
important.
that can be a tough age too. So that I'm sure that meant a lot to her.
So she, about a year ago, or certainly about 6-8 months ago, told my ex-wife, I didn't even really know if he loves me, but now I know for sure he does. I am literally a 180-degree person that I was.
Wow.
I was a bad person, bad son, bad brother, bad boss, bad everything.
Yeah.
I was an egomaniac. Again, and that's why I have to forgive myself, because I personally think that anybody else who went through this, who figured this shit out, I had a 6-month waiting list. I've had people come from other countries to see me. Thousands of therapists between me and them, and they come to see me because they've heard about the guy who could properly diagnose and tell me if I need that surgery.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it was kooky. It was kooky. And,
Yeah.
and it went to my head. And I don't
Yeah.
disagree. I don't disagree. And I was
Yeah.
bad, really a bad person. And I have made up for it. I am joyous and helpful and giving in ways I would have never even considered. And I love it. I love it. And I could
Yeah,
look
and
back
so,
and I
so
could
many
say,
people go through life and would never even be able to admit that they were
Right.
like that.
right. But you can't get better. You doesn't everyone really want that, like that life that's like you just feel so good. You just feel so good. And I think for too many people, they think buying the next car is going to make it. I did all that crap, and I can tell you it's worthless shit. I had a 23-foot boat, a 29-foot, a 27-foot boat, a 31-foot boat, a 35-foot boat. It had 2 beds, and I was ready to buy the 40-foot boat. It's bullshit. Don't mean nothing. That's the key. It's all just ways of what? Self-validation.
Right.
Oh, look what a good person I am. I got all this shit. Well, you never have enough shit to validate yourself. That's the problem. That's the problem. At some point, you got to say, get rid of all that crap, and what's left? That's me. That's it. That's all there is. And I better love myself. And that's where once you get there, oh my God, it's just the greatest thing in the world. So anyway, let me get you to the next exercise. I know I'm talking too much.
Yeah, and like one more thing.
Yeah.
Even despite all the things that we do, like the Lord never stops loving us.
Yes, absolutely.
Through it all.
Absolutely.
Through all the crap and nonsense.
The question to the person is, are they willing to recognize that they're worth that love?
Yeah.
Are you worthy of that love? Too many people go through their entire life and die not thinking, not recognizing how beautiful life can be and how wonderful your relationships can be. And I hate to say it, but kind of how simple life can get when you do nothing more than live to give, which is what I do.
Yeah.
That's my life is just giving. I mean, I make nickels off of this crap. Things are going to change, and you know, it looks like everything's going to go. But for 28 years, well, certainly for the last decade, I've
Yeah.
really, sadly, had to work as a physical therapist just to make a living, and I
Yeah.
would just do this sporadically. Actually, it's about 4 months ago, not even 3 months, maybe. I said, you know what? I'm not going to do therapy anymore. I'm going to do this. I'm going to push this. Even if I have to go through some of my savings, I am going to put everything into making the house method be what I think it should be, and either living or dying by it. And
Yeah.
some lady, I was blessed, taught me about the idea that there are these podcasts and they're looking for guests. And if you become a guest on the podcast, you get to get their listeners know about you. And it's a much more direct way. And I've been doing this for maybe like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And I'm now scheduled. God, it's got to be close to 15 to 20 podcasts. I've done 5 already. I've got people are really just joining on board. There's that actual website that allows you to connect with podcasts. It's like the guy said he has 27,000 people on there. There's like 1,600 health and fitness podcasts. 1,600. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it as if I do 100 to 200 of them, this thing will just blow up. It'll take
Yeah.
off. I've got people ready to become certified to learn how to do this. So,
That's great.
and again, it's just, I'm just sitting back now. I'm just
Mhm.
relishing every moment of every day. I don't care what my, I don't really have problems. I'm just living the life, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up and I'm going to put it up at knee height.
Okay.
Okay. And now I'm going to put my foot in the band. Okay. And so the weight of my leg is being supported by the band right now.
Hmm.
But I'm not locking my knee. My knee starts just slightly bent. I'm going to point my toes up. I'm going to be leaning back in the chair and I'm just driving my heel back, just hovering over the floor until my ankle is directly under my knee. So a 90-degree bend in my knee. And then I come back. Just keep my foot right above the floor as I'm doing this, driving the heel back until I reach there. Okay? And that's going to work my hamstring right here. That's the first of the 2 muscles that's going to take you out of your arch. Okay?
Okay.
Want to give that a try?
You, on my right leg or my left?
We can start with the right leg.
Okay.
Right leg. Okay, let's see. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it looks okay. Good. So make sure that your hip, your knee, and your foot are all in alignment with that point on the door as you're pulling. You want to make sure this is a straight line pull.
It's tighter. Okay.
And make sure you're leaning back in the chair while you're doing the exercise. Be fully relaxed. You just move, working one muscle at a time. As you adjust your hamstring. Make sure you're just doing 10.
Okay, I'm at 10.
How'd that feel? Could you feel that working in the back of your thigh, the underside of your thigh?
Yes, I feel like I felt it.
You have enough resistance, you think, or?
No, now I don't know what I was doing before, but now I feel it on the underside of my thigh.
Yeah. Could you put what is it, a laptop on the floor facing you from the side so I could watch your leg? Yeah. You could get that back a little bit there. That would be good. Now just raise it up a little more. That's it. Good. Oh, that's going to be good. Yeah. Okay. So I think you need to be, you can't be any further away from the door, right? That'll be better. Yeah. I think, good. Yeah. Don't go that far back. You only stop with the ankle right under your foot. Under your
Yeah. Now I feel it.
Yeah, stop there.
I was going too far back.
Yep. Stop there.
Yep.
Great. There you go.
Yeah, now I definitely feel it.
Good. 4. That looks perfect. Go 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. And rest. Take a break a sec, and then we'll do the last set.
Okay.
So that felt pretty good there, you think?
Yes.
Okay, good. Where do you live?
I live in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Were you unhappy when they moved to Kentucky?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess that's where they wanted to go. I think you said that.
Yeah, they had friends of theirs that started a church.
Yeah.
And they went to help.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
She seems pretty happy.
Yeah. She's definitely happy.
Yeah. That's good. And you're her sister, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She seems pretty close with her family. She told me, I remember when she told me about when she came back there to see everybody. After we moved. It's nice. It sounds great. You know what she told me? She said that the greatest thing that happened was her ability to, I don't know if it's your kids, but some of her nieces and nephews, she was able to hold them. She said that was unbelievable that she could do that.
Yeah, that makes me cry. Yeah, and
that meant a lot to her.
Yeah. Because she when my son is almost 6 now, but when he was a baby, she nannied for us.
Right.
And she didn't have any problems then.
Yeah.
And so she held him all the time.
Yeah.
And then when my daughter was born, she would hold her sitting down on the couch.
Yeah.
And then when Ellie was first born, she didn't, she felt like hesitation about holding her. But when she visited in April, she held her.
Yeah. You want to hear a crazy story?
Yeah.
This is how I meet Janine. She calls me and I'm on my way. I'm going to drive down this treated guy that hasn't walked for like 4 years. And so no one ever expects me to pick up the phone. They think I'm like this
Right.
mega gazillionaire guy and it's a corporation and you're gonna get my assistant. It's all this wacky shit. So I always pick up the phone and be like, is this it? And I'm like, yeah. What's up, man? So she's like, I got to tell you this story. And I'm supposed to get married in 4 months, but I'm having this neck pain and I can't move and I can't work. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to the wedding. Should I call it off? I'm like, what are you, nuts, man? We got 4 freaking months, man. I promise you. You're going to follow what I tell you to do, and we're going to make you at that wedding, and you're going to be happy, and life's going to be good. That's how, literally, if you ask her, she'll tell you that was our initial conversation, was that it's like 4 months to the wedding, and I don't know, man. I can't even hold anything. I can't work.
Yeah.
And and so I got to the place, and I was in the parking lot, and we talked. As you can tell, I don't have much trouble talking. So it had been like a 40-minute conversation. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I kind of have to go in. The guy's waiting for me. I've been sitting in the car for like 20 minutes. He's like, oh, that's great. No, it's so nice of you to call, to speak to me. But I'll get back to you and I'll schedule a session. That was the original conversation. And finally, like a month later, she scheduled.
Wow.
And we did it. We did. I promised her she would have that wedding and she would be ready, and we accomplished it.
Yeah, for
Think
sure.
about it. I've treated thousands of people, and yet so many of them are ingrained in my mind. The life experience, the situational things that the person was going through at the time I meet them are so powerful that they have such strong memory traces that
Right.
you just can't forget these stories. I remember it. I can remember sitting in the car outside this guy's house talking to her. I mean, I can remember it as clear as day.
Right.
And that was got to be a year ago.
Yeah. It was.
It's
Or
just
they just had their year anniversary, so it was a little more than a year.
Yeah, more than a year. It's great. It's great. She's just this like cute little girl, and like when I met her, I was like, oh my God, you're not allowed to be like this. You are too young. You can't be like this, man.
I know.
You can't be like, we got to fix this for you.
Yeah.
It was nice. It worked out. It was great. I'm really happy. It makes me happy. And then she contacted me yesterday, I think it was, and said you were having your problem. So I'm glad she thought of me, which is good.
Yeah.
All right. Try your last set on that side.
Still on the right?
Yeah. One more set. Good. I think that's 10. Good. Okay, take a rest. Try walking around a little bit, see how that feels. You feel pretty good now.
Yeah, that SI joint area feels good, feels a lot better.
Good. How's your back feel?
Initially standing up, I felt some weakness,
Yeah.
like down here.
Yeah.
But I don't feel it right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try and do 3 sets on the left side and see if that improves that. And then I just got to show you one more exercise.
Okay, so do it on the left.
Yeah, let's get the 3 sets in on the left, and then we'll do the last second hip extension. Oop, don't go back that far.
All right.
Right to there. There you go.
Yeah.
Good. Take a rest. You feel that working in the muscle pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. And always make sure when you're sitting back and relaxed, we're just working one muscle at a time.
Right. Yeah, I remember to do that a couple in.
And again, you'll play with the resistance and, try to get to that exertion level of 8 and then stay with whatever that resistance is. That's the resistance we're going to use.
Yeah, I think being back further would help, but I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, you just, when you go to do it the next time, you'll really try to perfect the resistance level. But you'll have the video to watch just to make sure you're doing it correctly. So.
Uh-huh. Okay, that was 10.
Okay. And the rest. Did you have any damage from the hurricane?
No, we had a pretty crazy tornado a few miles down the road.
I can't believe the extent of the damage from the hurricane. That's amazing.
Yeah. Where do you live?
I live in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. Yeah, it was crazy. There was like 5 miles down the road from us, there was a tornado that took some houses out, took a bunch of trees down. Nobody was killed, thank God. Like miraculous. Yeah, I know. I was like, that was a miracle. Nobody was killed.
Yeah.
A lot of.
But did you hear about New York and Manhattan? I think it was, or Brooklyn.
The flooding.
Oh my God, that's such a. It's freaking me out thinking about it. That there were people in cellar apartments with no way to get out.
I know.
Ground.
Wild.
That's sick.
Really wild.
And the idiot mayor. God, I can't stand politicians. What a horrible thing. And now we have to do something to prevent it from happening again. What about the first time? What about the first time? Why didn't you stop at the first time so we didn't have to have this discussion about preventing it happening again? They
Yeah.
always come in after the fact. They're so annoying. I cannot stand any politician. It's just word salad, man. They're just talking heads.
For sure.
They don't fix shit. People fix problems. Politicians don't do anything, just noise. And sometimes they do bad things. I mean, even the New Jersey governor guy sent the COVID positive people back to the nursing homes. What kind of psychopath does that?
I know.
Look at themselves. Hey, let's take really sick people and put them in a place where like really vulnerable people are. 5 governors did that.
Wild.
Literally killed people.
Yeah.
Literally killed people. And that guy and those people still stay in office. Sick. All right, here's your last one. So
Okay.
what we're gonna do is now I'm gonna have to make the band a little bit small. I'm gonna make the loop much smaller. So I'll show you how much smaller. Because I'm gonna do an exercise where I'm gonna start with my knee really close to the door. So here's the size of the loop.
Okay.
Okay, now let me see. Get this up. I'll do. You can do it with both legs, but I'll just do it with one leg to show you.
Okay.
So I'm putting my foot through. So the band is behind my knee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now the key to this is that I'm gonna stick my butt back, and I stick my butt back and bend my knees. That drops my shoulders. So then I'm gonna be holding very low on the door and the frame. I'm standing on the leg I'm standing on, my butt's back, but my knee of the leg I'm standing on is over my ankle. My knee isn't very far forward. It's actually, my knee is directly over my ankle.
Okay.
Now, the lower leg here is parallel to the ground. My knee starts pointing the door. I kick behind me with my heel until my knee passes the ground, just goes a little beyond it. Then I come back. Gonna look like that. No part of my body's moving other than my hip. I'm going flexion to extension, back and forth. Okay, so I'm kicking with my heel. That works the gluteus maximus muscle,
Okay.
the butt muscle. Okay,
Yeah.
try that.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
Now what do I do?
So now stick your butt behind you, bend your left knee. Good. Now you drop your shoulders down and your hands are on the door and the frame. With both hands on the door and the frame. Now bend your right knee to 90 degrees. And then you're gonna point your toes towards the door and you're gonna kick behind you with your heel, as if you were gonna kick somebody. Try not to move your body. Just move the hip. Right behind, there you go. Now forward, good. Keep your heel at about the same height as your knee the whole time. So your lower leg is running parallel to the ground. There you go, that's it. Nothing else is moving except that thigh. That looks perfect. Looks really good. Okay, take a rest. Now, on the next one, if you can you put the camera on the chair next to you, facing to your side, so I can see from the side?
Yeah.
That's gonna be good. Yeah, right like that. Just raise it up a little bit more if you can, just a little. Right there. Good. Yep. That's gonna be perfect. I'll be able to see your shoulder height and everything. I want to see where your body position is.
I feel like this might be too high.
It's a little high. Yeah, you want to kind of have it at knee height. A little lower. Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Okay.
There you go. Oh no, that looks really good. Yeah, good position. Looks excellent. Okay, bend the knee to 90 degrees, kick behind. Good. Oh yeah, good motion, good range. Nothing's moving except that hip joint. That's perfect. Nice job. That's him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's him. Good. Looks perfect. Excellent. Now, if that band gets a little irritating on your skin, just take a washcloth and or a towel and wrap it around it. And that
Okay.
way you won't feel the rubber on you in the back of your
Right.
knee. Okay. Well, otherwise it looks really perfect. It's very good. It looks right on.
And I do that on both sides.
You're gonna do it on both sides, yeah? So just the hip abduction. You just do an hip abduction on the right, the hamstring curl and the hip extension on both sides. Right? And just the theoretical basis is that you just got the straining of the right piriformis, which is telling us that the right glute meets weak. So we're just strengthening that so that you eventually get the right leg as strong as the left. And that way you'll be able to perform your activity without straining, and your brain will allow you to weight bear on both legs equally. The purpose of the hamstring and the hip extension is to get you out of that severe arching of the back and get you to a neutral posture of your back. That's why you're doing that on both sides.
Okay.
Okay. And then once you're pain free out of symptom, then we can do a generalized conditioning thing. We'll take you to what, we'll do whatever you want to do, whatever you want to strengthen.
Okay.
But quite simply, these 3 exercises are all you'll need to be out of pain.
Okay.
And make your back feel stronger.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. You'll see. It always works.
Mm-hmm.
The success rate is it's unmatched. There's nothing no one can do. I always say to people, so like, I'm constantly being attacked. It's really amazing how people, they're pretty nasty. You know what they put in? So if you Google my name, Dr. Mitchell Yas, you're going to see Dr. Mitchell Yas quack. So somebody intentionally put that in. And I guess the only way to keep that there is that somehow there must be a mechanism, a robot that constantly puts it in. So anytime you Google Dr. Mitchell Yas, the very first one you see is Dr. Mitchell Yas quack. Click on it. Click on it, you'll see. It's all recommendations. It's all
anyone that goes against like the mainstream.
Oh, you're gonna get attacked. Now there's something called DuckDuckGo, which is another search engine. I just checked to see what I come out on there. Very first one, Dr. Mitchell Yas complaint.
Mm-hmm.
Click on that. It's all rave reviews. You can't find something negative about me. It's really going to be hard to find a negative thing about me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing this for 28 years. So I've had plenty of time for people who want to attack me. I mean, It's a long time. But there's nobody who doesn't think I'm trying my best. There's nobody who doesn't. You're going to find. I mean, you can't attack the logic of what I say. It's irrefutable. It is the essence of how the body works. That's why it's, if I start taking market share away, they're going to pay people. They'll try to find you. They're going to find your name on a list somehow with someone I've treated, and someone's going to come to you and they're going to say, "I'll give you $1 million to say you hurt me." That's what's going to happen. They're going to try to really attack me when this thing really takes off. The only little problem with that, oh, that's right. Every video I do is video.
Right.
You ain't going to be able to get those. I've got hundreds of these now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got before and after pictures of hundreds of people. So it's going to be really, really hard to attack me now. They'll try. I mean, obviously they're going to attack the messenger and try and make me seem it's. And I mean, hey, I'm not going to admit I am a bit insane now. I don't. Anyone who would have gone through what I've gone through would be a little insane. But at least I've come out on the other side.
Yeah.
I found peace and happiness. So.
Yeah.
And then the fact is, you can attack me. You can do anything you want to. Listen, the evidence is there. I've written 3 books. I've done a PBS special. I write for an international magazine. I've got a YouTube channel with 200 videos. I've got Facebook. I've got Instagram. I've got a blog. I mean, there's so much shit out there at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the internet. You can't hide all of it. You can't get rid of all of it.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And I get contacted. I've treated people in Taiwan, Switzerland, Portugal, England, Bangkok, Canada, obviously all over the United States.
Yeah.
And it's growing. It's getting more and more now. So.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Okay, try one. You got one more set, I think, on that side.
Oh.
And then you're done on that side. Is it getting too late? I guess we went.
Oh yeah, well I just saw the time, so I was like, oh, we're done.
Well, we could just. No, I don't care about time. You're done when you're done. That's how my approach is the same. My approach will always be the same. When we accomplish our goal, then we're done. I mean, the reason we spend so much time usually is because I talk too much. So that shouldn't be you shouldn't be penalized for that. There you go. That's it. Get low. Bend your left knee a little more. That's it. But get that butt back. Okay, there you go. That's it. Right there. Now stay there. That's it. God, that's really good speed now. That's just like right on. Nice. Very nice. Great form. You got it. Let's take a rest. We'll do a couple on the other side. You'll be good to go.
Okay.
Oh. Is your baby sleeping now?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I have 3 kids. They're all asleep.
Oh, good. And are you still working right now, or you are maternity leave?
No, I actually didn't go back to my job after my 3rd baby.
Yeah.
So I'm home with them right now.
And where do you work at? What kind of facility?
I was working in a partial hospitalization for kids. So it's still outpatient. They still go home at the end of every day, but it's Monday through Friday, like all day, like a school day.
Oh. With the kids with like the ADHD kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah, and the ADHD, aggressive. A lot of kids that would get like kicked out of school kids, or they can't
Yeah.
come back until they do this program. So we were hands-on, like did restraints and stuff.
Oh, wow. Wow. What's
Yeah.
the age of the kids?
3 to 17.
Wow. Do you ever get into like the family life? What's the parents' life?
Oh yeah, family sessions were a requirement of the program. So the families had to come once a week. And if the families weren't engaged, obviously we would try to get them engaged. Ultimately, if the kid was responding well to treatment, we would keep them in. But if the kid wasn't responding well and the family wasn't involved, then they would get discharged, because it's so much to do with the family, all
I was
their
gonna
behavior.
say, what part of this do you think is the family dynamic?
Yeah, everything,
I mean,
everything.
I'm all good with, having a diagnosis and, at least you have a direction to go. But my experience with diagnoses is that someone gets a diagnosis and then every fucking symptom that ever comes out of the planet somehow gets attacked. A great
Mhm.
example of it is people who have Parkinson's disease being told that their balance deficits are from Parkinson's disease. It doesn't work like that. Parkinson's disease affects an area of the brain that has to do with the coordination of muscle. That's why you have cogwheel motion. That's why you have mask-like symptoms. It has nothing to do with the strength of your gluteus medius muscles that are
Yeah,
responsible for balance. It has nothing to do
right.
with your cerebellum or your semicircular canals. It has to do with the area of the brain that simply works with coordination of muscle. But with coordination of muscle, how do they coordinate? But if the person is being told by their doctor and their spouse, don't do anything because you may hurt yourself, and you end up having them lay on a couch for 12 hours a day,
Yeah,
what's the
right.
shock that they now have a balance deficit?
Yeah, then they decompensate.
Right. But it ain't the fucking Parkinson's, you idiots. If anything, your obsession with the diagnosis is leading this person to lose their quality of life. I
Hmm.
can tell you, I have personally brought back people fully to function, no assistive devices, able to do whatever they want with pretty extensive Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm gonna do the other side.
I am not a guy who likes giving diagnoses that aren't specific to the symptoms that are supposed to be representative of that diagnosis.
Right.
And it's rampant. It's rampant and it's disgusting.
Okay. Now I need to bend my right
There
leg.
you go. Sit your butt back. Always look down. Make sure your knee is over your ankle. That's the key. There you go. Yep. You're down low. You look good. Get that heel up a little higher so you're kicking behind you. Your lower leg should be parallel to the ground. The left lower leg. Parallel to the ground. Get your left heel up higher. Bend your left knee more.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Now you got it. Okay, now go. There you go. That's it. You got it. Left back. Yep. Sit down on it. Nice job. It looks good. I think you got it really nice.
Okay.
Have you heard of this show on Netflix called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
No.
Okay, you got to watch this thing. My daughter got me caught on it. My daughter does a lot of watching of Netflix, and like my ex-wife, I guess, does it. And so she told me about this. You would love this thing. It's called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's 4 seasons now. They're waiting to produce the 5th one, and it's by her name is Rachel Bloom. It's obviously her life story. It's a real story,
Yeah.
and she's crazy, and she has multiple diagnoses, and they now tell her that she has borderline personality disorder. She's been
Mhm.
diagnosed with a variety of other, but finally she got this, and it just is basically a history of her life and just how her mental illness and keeps her from having any kind of normal relationship. It's always
Yeah.
destructive. It always leads to some very bad stuff. And
Right.
but it's very, to me, it's really sad,
Yeah.
really sad. It kind of shows how one individual who may be a little unstable can kind of draw others into the insanity and screw their lives up without them even realizing it because of a love or a concern for the individual.
Right.
It's really, the dynamic is incredible.
Yeah.
You would like, it's basically the essence of the show is the fact that she lives in her mind. So whenever she has a problem, she sees the problem as a Broadway show. So she'll create this elaborate musical number,
Mhm.
and it's, the words are not what you'd expect in a Broadway show. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of cursing and stuff. But I have to admit, the woman with her psychosis is amazing how her imagination allows her to get through life through these musical numbers she creates.
Right, right.
It's really, the musical aspect of it is genius. It really is. I think it's an amazing show. Very sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, right.
I'm depressed almost every time I watch it. And it's not for me. I mean, I reflect over it and say, thank God I found me and how I am, and I would run away from that instantly upon
Yeah.
experiencing that with somebody. I think so. I'm divorced now, and I'm just barely starting to date, like, a little bit, and it's very
Yeah.
because I really don't, not looking to get into anything, but people have, to a lesser extent, the same kind of issues in their life. I mean,
Right.
they live in a little bit of drama that's just really not necessary to have.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
they find themselves in it, and I think they don't know how to unwind it. It just grows and grows and grows.
Should I do one more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Did you ever, in all your experiences, feel like you would, if you had your way, take the kid away from the parents because they're the primary reason for the problem?
Yeah, in certain extreme cases, yeah.
And it's sad that that could happen. There you go. Get your butt back. Stay low. That's it. Yep. Good.
Yeah, there were some parents that were way more mentally ill than their
Yeah.
kids.
It's sad. You just biologically need some basis to be a parent, but that doesn't mean you should be one.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to make sure that it's the right time for you, and I don't think people do. Looks good. Boy, your form's excellent. You're fully locked in.
And
Excellent. I think you got it.
yes.
Try walking around now and see how your back feels. It
Okay.
should feel a lot more stable now.
Yeah, it feels good. I feel a little bit of that SI tenderness, but
Yeah, so
nothing.
now, okay, so now sit down because you were standing on your right leg, right? So now sit down and put your right ankle up on your left knee and pull your right knee to your left chest, and you'll feel a stretch. Watch
Put my
this.
right ankle on my left
Put
knee.
the right ankle on your left knee and take your hands around your right knee and pull it to your left chest. your left shoulder, I should say. And you'll feel a pull where you're complaining of. Now hold that for 20 seconds, do it twice, and stand up, and you'll see that you have taken away that symptom.
It makes so much sense now why I'm always asking my husband to stretch my legs
Yeah,
because they're
because
so
it's not a
tight.
joint, it's a muscle. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Everything's so tight and
Yeah, yeah.
weak.
But it's tight. The piriformis is tight because it's doing a job it wasn't designed to do. It's trying
Yeah.
to assist and support you, but your glute med is designed for that.
Right.
When you understand it from a mechanical perspective, it all just kind of makes sense, and you understand what you need to do to correct the mechanism, and that's it. You're done. You get done. The scary part is not knowing what tissue you're talking about, and you're just talking about generalities, like I'm going to treat your back. I'm not sure what on an anatomy chart. Can you point to the back? I don't know what tissue back is. I see muscles, I see nerves, I see bones, I see kidneys, I see spleens, but I don't see backs. I think that you got it. It's so, yeah, now walk around. That should feel better, right there.
Yeah, that feels better.
Okay, so you have control now. You start feeling that pull in that gluteal region, just stretch your piriformis. Do it twice, hold it for 20 seconds, and you'll be able to take your short-term pain away. The long-term pain, the long-term resolution comes from strengthening that glute med.
Yeah.
Okay, the back issue, you're going to just pull the back of that pelvis down by strengthening the hamstring and glute max, and you're going to have a nice, strong, stable back.
Sounds great.
Okay, so you're going to do this 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You're going to do 3 sets of 10 repetitions with a minute rest in between each set. The purpose of the exercise are just mechanisms to allow the muscles to adapt to greater and greater resistances. You're going to try to find that exertion level of 8 for your start point. You're going to stay with that resistance, put a mark on the floor where that is. You're going to go down to an exertion level of 5. Then you're going to move away from the door 2 inches or make the loop a little tighter. You're going to get back up to an exertion level of 8. Stay there till it goes down to a 5. Increase the resistance. That's your process.
Okay.
You're going and we're talking weeks, and you should be pain free.
Okay.
What I would suggest is in about 4 or 5 weeks, make another appointment. We'll do a follow-up, see where you are. If you're better by then, I'll start showing you extra stuff. If not, we'll make sure that you're going in the right direction and that you're achieving the goals. You're progressing. Even if you're not 100% there yet, at least you're going in the direction you're supposed to be going.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds great.
Feel confident?
Yes.
Everything makes sense now, right?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Who's in charge? You.
Hey.
You're going to fix this, man. No problem. If you run into problems or questions or anything, just email me, though, okay?
Okay.
But you should be good. And I'll see you in
That sounds
4 or 5 weeks, all right?
All right. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. We'll see you
Bye.
soon, okay?